Welcome, everyone, to the One More Game podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jeremy Culver, a.k.a. Darcy, and with me is the California Thirst Quencher, Pete Leisure. Pete, how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Got a lot of stuff going on. Not for me personally, but, you got NBA free agency, which kicked off as of this recording would have been like less than 18 hours ago, which maybe not everybody, all of our listeners care about, but I kind of sort of do because it involves my work a little bit. And I know a lot of our friends, especially on the Discord, are big NBA fans, including this guy over here. I would say I'm more of a medium NBA fan, but not necessarily specifically riding with any one team, but I enjoy a lot of the storylines. So that's going on too. The White Sox still suck, so that sucks. And there's some big personal news too. I got a PS5, so there you go.
You got a PS5?
I got a PS5. I haven't opened it yet. We can do the unboxing if you want to at the end of the show. That's up to you.
Maybe we'll do it towards the end of the show. But congratulations, you finally joined the PS5 master race.
I had to pay almost double the price. It was like $800 because the only way they sold it at this GameStop that I randomly walked into by work. It was funny. I actually walked in and they were the guy was like, "Can I help you with something?" And I was like, probably not, but I was looking for a PS5 and they go, "Oh yeah, we have some in stock." I was like, "Okay, I guess we're doing this now." So and then he's like, "Well, you have to be a GameStop Rewards member." Okay, well, I had to renew that. And they're like, "All right, you can only buy this bundle where you get $175 worth of PlayStation Store credit and $100 worth of GameStop Store credit," which made it be like $800. And I was like, "Well, I'd rather just have the system itself, but I mean, I'm going to buy games and stuff anyway, so I guess it's fine." So I just ended up throwing down the money on it. And, now I'm more broke than I was before, but whatever.
Well, I'm obviously happy that you got it because you're happy, of course. But that totally makes sense, to try to stop people from, scalping consoles. A lot of sellers and retailers have been doing some sort of bundle. So I wasn't surprised at first when you said you paid almost double. I was like, please don't tell me you went on eBay and tried to buy one of these.
Oh, so no, absolutely not. I would not have done that.
I'm at least glad that you did.
By the way, when I say unboxing, it's not that I haven't removed it from the box. I haven't removed it from the garbage bag they stowed it in when they handed it to me at GameStop. I was like, "Why would you hand me in a garbage bag?" It was like, "Well, we want to keep it hidden from other people." Like, I'm walking out of a GameStop. They're going to probably know what this big ass thing that I hauled out in a garbage bag is, but okay. I guess it was in my car at work for a while, but it's not like I was keeping it hidden from my coworkers because I didn't believe they would steal from me. So yeah, it was kind of interesting the way it was smuggled out there. But
So I do have to ask before we get into the true open and what we've been playing lately. Did you buy a game with any of your credits or in general yet?
I've not yet.
Okay.
I've not yet. One of the first things I wanted to do was upgrade. I don't even know if I can still do it, but upgrade the PS4 FF7 remake to the Intergrade, and then I'd have to buy the intermission DLC, which I think is like $20, or it was at the time. I don't know if that deal is still on the table, but I would like to do that. That'd be one of the first things I do. I'm
fairly certain. Did you bought Final Fantasy VII yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then, you'll have the free upgrade for sure. And then...
I saw that if you bought the hard copy, it didn't work, but I'm pretty sure I downloaded it. I'm like 95% sure.
Hard copy, it works too. I have the hard copy, so you don't need to worry about that. The only thing was, and I think that they ended up changing course on this not too long ago, but at first, when PlayStation gave Final Fantasy VII Remake away as a PS Plus game, those users could not upgrade for free to the PS5 version for a while. And then I think, I could be wrong, somebody can comment in the chat or, of course, into the show on our website, can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they did eventually change that course, but it was like a good 6 months or 7 months before they finally were like, yeah, the PS Plus users can finally upgrade their version. But yeah,
I see.
You have the free upgrade. So yeah, and I think, again, could be wrong, but there was like a big sale going on, like an add-on sale, and I think Intergrade or the Intermission DLC was one of the game DLCs or the add-ons that was on sale too. So there's a chance you might be able to snag that at a discounted price as well.
Yeah,
but
and I mean the 175 sorry to cut you off. The
no,
175 PlayStation Store dollars is going to cover like a year worth of PlayStation Plus or whatever. So I mean, that's already got me pretty good set up once I actually get everything set up for myself.
Yeah, and you got East 8 and East 9 on there too. So I mean, that's just in RPGs alone, that's a pretty good haul to have right away. But
now I have a backlog like you do.
Heck yeah, you do. But everybody, thank you so much for tuning in here to the One More Game podcast. This is a podcast that is centered around making sure you're informed about all the video game news happening around the world, whether it is PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, or PC. If there's news that you need to know about, we'll make sure that you know about it. When you're listening to this on your podcast service, make sure you hit the subscribe button or the follow button, depending on what your service offers. And if your podcast service allows reviews, please leave a 5-star review and tell everyone why you love the One More Game podcast, because we really enjoy bringing this to you each and every Friday. If you'd like to be part of the show by asking a question or suggesting a topic for discussion, head on over to pressstartnews.net/onemoregame and fill out that submission form, and your submission could be used on the next episode. Or you can drop it in the chat over here on youtube.com/presssstart28 when we record it live, and we will react and include those on the broadcast. But if this is your first time to the podcast, welcome to the podcast. I hope you enjoy your listen, and I hope you enjoy your stay. If you are returning, you already know what it is. We start off every single podcast talking about what we've been playing lately. So, Pete, what have you been playing lately?
I got 2 of them, 2 games.
Nice.
Still more Fall Guys. That one hasn't really changed. Playing with a bunch of friends. It's really fun. You and I need to play. Got to get the situation coordinated. And I actually played a little more Resonance of Fate. I'm gonna have to go back and figure out how to do the combat system again, because I spent so long away from it. Go through the trials again, watch some of those videos you were talking about the last time we discussed it. Still a little confusing story-wise where we're going, but one of the things that jumped out probably most out of all of them is like the characters actually look different from one another. One of the things that especially early on with RPGs, like the only thing that really changes is like mostly just the whatever clothes they wear, whatever clothes the block characters wear. And this one, like one of the first chapter or first mission that you do right before you go to the second chapter, the dude that looks like there is just like a Jabba the Hutt weird looking dude that's like really like odd looking, but unique looking, but also, you know, I appreciate that kind of thing. Like, not everybody looks the exact same, and I know in a lot of video games sometimes to save, you know, space on some of the art, especially the older ones, not necessarily the newer ones, but this game's like, you know, what when was this game come out?
2010, I think, is when it originally came out.
Okay, so it's I mean, it's still a decade, but I mean, like even like I guess Final Fantasy X wouldn't have been that new, or that what do you call it, that recent. But a lot of games even still seem like they use a lot of the same designs and stuff like that for a lot of the side characters. And this one, at least for a character that I assume isn't coming back anytime soon, or isn't going to show up much, just like a MacGuffin for you to complete your first quest, is pretty interesting that he had such a unique design. So I was really floored by that. The combat system is as wacky as it is. It's still engaging and entertaining. So I hope it still stays like that and doesn't. It's kind of frustrating that even though I haven't played in a couple of weeks, that, you know, it's like, shit, now I got to get back into it again. But I mean, right now, at least the interesting part, the engaging part of the combat far outweighs the frustration of me forgetting how to do it because I hadn't played it in like 3 weeks.
Well, I'm glad that you're still enjoying it. I hope that, yeah, you pick it up fairly quickly, the combat again, and dive into it. I'll
just go back to the trial thing again. Yeah. I saw you were tweeting about a specific one, but you also wanted to write an article about it and a review for the website, so I don't want to push you into that one.
Oh yeah, you're talking about Little Noah. Yeah. So
is that the game you wanted to talk about, or?
We can actually talk about one. I shouldn't say one of, but I have 3 games that I played this week. You can decide how you want to handle it. I don't mind talking about Little Noah. Of course, I'll do more in-depth discussion for my review. But I beat Little Noah which is a roguelike game from Cygames. I beat Ghostwire Tokyo finally, and I've been playing as well The Last Remnant, which I also have a very funny story with that game. So, like, which one would you prefer hearing more about? And I can just briefly touch on the other ones.
So the one I want to hear about the most, because now you tease me with a funny story, is Last Remnant. Okay. I do want to hear, like, what, even just like a I liked or disliked it and nothing else about Ghostwire Tokyo at some point, but that doesn't have to be here.
Sounds good. So first off, we'll just touch on the Ghostwire Tokyo, because I did beat that one, I guess, like, in further past. That was the first one I beat so far. But Ghostwire Tokyo, I actually liked it. I said to my friends I definitely would have been upset, or I guess upset isn't the word I would use, but I wouldn't have been as happy if I had paid full price for it and beat it like I originally planned to, because it definitely never clicked to the point that I wanted it to. But it was still an enjoyable game. I still found it a lot of fun, and I think that when it eventually does come to Xbox Game Pass, because of course Tango Gameworks is an Xbox studio now, so it will be coming to Game Pass once it eventually comes to Xbox, that it's a great game to dabble in, have fun with it while an Xbox, and move away from it. The best part about it, though, I will say, is the last mission, the ending mission, definitely was written really well and really hit a soft spot with me. And I think for you as well, who has a sibling, it's going to hit really hard with you as well, I would think. So it was a really great final mission, got me in my feels. But overall, though, as the full package, it was good, but definitely not as high as I thought it would be. Little Noah, just to say it again, as I said in my tweet, but I did really enjoy the game. I think it's worthwhile to pick up. It's $15, and it's on Switch, PlayStation, and PC, if I remember correctly. It's worth the price, but again, I'll talk more about it in my video that you can go watch right here, of course, on youtube.com/PressStart28. It will also be at PressStartNews.net. But when it comes to The Last Remnant, so first the funny story, or actually I'll go to the funny story later. So first off, The Last Remnant, for those that don't know, it was a game that was released by Square Enix originally as an Xbox exclusive here in the West. It was released on PlayStation apparently in Japan, but I guess the PS4 version, or PS3 version, excuse me, never came out here in the West. But it was an Xbox exclusive. It eventually got brought to PC. I don't remember what time it was. And then a few years ago, I think it was in like 2018, 2019, it might have been, a remastered version has came out for PS4, Switch, and Xbox, but no longer on PC. I, however, own it on PC, not the remastered version, the original version, which is no longer purchasable. Okay, they delisted it when they made the remaster version. But from what I've Googled when I was thinking about rediving into it, the PC version is almost essentially the same as what you get in the remastered version, except the remastered version has been ported over to Unreal Engine 4, and there's been some other minor tweaks, but almost everything on the game is based off of the PC version, so that's why there wasn't a huge enticement for me to get it. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. Combat is essentially, you're like I would think of it like you're more of like a commander of a troop, and you don't actually choose like the skills that you want your party to do. You kind of give them a suggestion, and then the people in your units, as they call them, or I think it's units, or unions, excuse me, the unions will make attacks based off of that. So for instance, to give you a thing, you might say use combat arts, and then your character, which the main character's name is Rush, out of the combat arts he knows, he will choose to use one of those moves, and that's how you do your combat. And so you kind of like are playing like almost chess as you're battling. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. It's definitely, though, not going to be everyone's cup of tea. The funny story, though, and I've been telling this story since I went back to play it, because it's just still funny to me. So back, I want to say 2013, I had just built one of my gaming PCs that I built, of course, over my years. And so I was first dabbling into Steam at the time. I didn't have Steam before. I was a console player mostly, but I did play like games on PC like League of Legends, World of Warcraft, Terra, things like that, but not on Steam. So I was getting on Steam and I saw The Last Remnant on sale for like $3-4 or something like that. It was really cheap and I really wanted to get it, but I didn't want to buy it. Like, let's just put it that way. I wanted it, but I didn't want to buy it. So I proceeded to talk with one of my friends, one of my best friends. He's a listener of the show. His name's Ronnie. He'll probably laugh hearing that we're bringing this story up because I just brought it back up to him the other day.
What up, Ronnie?
But I was telling him how amazing of a game The Last Remnant was, how great it was, how fun it is, all this jazz, and just kept talking to him about it. The funny part about this whole thing, the key part about it is I had never played The Last Remnant in my life at this moment. Again, it was an Xbox exclusive. I never owned an Xbox console, but I kept telling him how great this game was, how awesome it was, how fun it was. And he's like, well, then buy it. And I was like, I was like, but it's great. I was like, I just think it's a great game. He got so frustrated with me and so annoyed with me that he bought me the game just to shut me up.
You conned your buddy into buying you the game.
Yeah, basically.
Only like $5. Jeez.
Yeah, basically. He's like, he was like, I literally was just like, quit being a cheap butt and like buy the damn game. And I was like,
man, last week you were hitting on the one of your friends' mothers. Now you're just conning your friends into buying you games. What the hell's wrong with you, man?
Hey.
You're just like a evil human being. It sounds like.
I am building up my villain arc. Okay, so when you see me as the big bad of an upcoming RPG or video game or podcast, then you know exactly the villain story that was developed.
Yeah, no shit. The Darcy remnants.
yes. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I am enjoying it. But I will say last night I was getting really frustrated because, again, how the combat works. Sometimes there are moments where, like, you tell the troops to do a certain thing and you think it's fairly straightforward, and then it's not. So to give a quick instance, last night I told the party, it's literally as one of the moves. It says, get your HP up. And the description of it is attack, but like heal. So it's like still use attacks, but heal while you can. One of my troops was at like 400 health. The rest of them were pretty close to full health. The troop that was at 400 health is the one that I said to get your health up. They decided to heal one of the other troops. And then proceeded to die. It was like, it's not what I meant.
Sounds like when Final Fantasy games when your character is put into confusion or whatever, and then you start like doing random stuff, and it'll be just like healing the enemies. It's like, no, don't do that. Come on.
Yeah, it was literally like, I'm like, dude, heal, and he like does restore 2, and he heals the other party, and I'm like, no. The very next hit hits them for like 500 damage and kills them. I was like, no,
of course, that's the next one too.
Yeah, I was like, that's not what I meant. So yeah, there's those moments, but I still enjoy it. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. I think it's like $20, the remastered version on each of the consoles. So. But we've been talking about what we've been playing for quite a bit. Let's get to our gaming catalog, because there is a number of things that will be more probably long-form discussions. The God of War devs getting harassed by fans online. Return of Monkey Island devs getting harassed as well. Pokemon Go developers canceled some projects and laid off staff, and a Battle Royale indie project is shut down, but the studio is being bought. That's all coming up here on the One More Game podcast, but we're going to get started with our main title, and that is God of War director tells creeps to stop sending explicit pictures to game devs. This is the Gamer.com, written by Rhiannon Bevan, and it goes as follows. God of War's Cory Barlog has told fans to stop sending genital pics to game devs after a member of his team was harassed with explicit images. This comes as developers speak out about the abuse they received from the community following the harassment suffered by Monkey Island creator Ron Gilbert after a recent game trailer, which that is going to be part of our next discussion. And yes, you read that right. Gamers have been having to be told to not send unexplicit nudes to developers because apparently it wasn't obvious enough that this is awful things to do. And worse yet, this isn't even the first time God of War Ragnarok dev team has been harassed, having been subject to misogynistic abuse when the game was hit with delays last year. Quote, this is from Estelle Tigani, who is the developer. It said, quote, pro tip, sending me dick pics asking for the God of War Ragnarok release date will not, in fact, get me to reveal the release date. The cinematic producer of God of War Ragnarok responded. And to the people who are doing so, when did that ever work for you? Of course, Corey Barlog, who is the director of the game, steps in or retweeted it and said, are you effing kidding me about this now? I cannot believe I even have to say this, but don't effing send dick pics to anyone on this team or anyone in general. They are busting their butts to make something for you guys to enjoy. Show some effing respect. So, Pete, I have to ask you. I know that we joked and kind of laughed before the show, saying like, yeah, you didn't have to do much research ahead of time to be like, this is terrible. But I got to ask you just in general, what was your reaction to even seeing this being an article, basically that someone did this?
My initial reaction was kind of similar to Corey Barlog's reaction. We have to explicitly state that hey, sending unsolicited pics of your genitalia is not gonna get you anything that you really want in terms of when you're asking a question, and B, is highly just unprofessional and disgusting, and like, just don't do it. I'm sorry. We don't have to cover a whole lot of that. The fact that it was an actual story, and the fact that we have multiple stories about harassing developers and people like that, and just harassing people in general. They're not the only ones that have been harassed lately. There's been quite a few voice actors and actresses and people just periodically being just abused and called out, and just random people just saying disgusting things, doing disgusting things, awful, just abusive nature stuff. Just stop doing that. If it's okay if your game the game that you really want to come out doesn't come out in proper order. These things are very difficult to make. If you want the game to be as good as it can possibly be, theoretically allowing for a longer time to let the game get created is going to effectively allow them to make sure all the things that they could possibly check are checked out and made sure that they're completed, because most of these games that are this big, especially this popular, they are probably going to come out with bugs no matter how much no matter how much research and checking is done by developers and quality checkers and all that, because it turns out that when there's 150, 200 quality checkers for a game, they're probably not going to catch everything as fast as 5 million or 10 million or 25 million players that are going to get this game, within the first 24 hours that the game is released. So you're probably all going to find that stuff. So how about you just stop being so hasty about this stuff? Life is too short to worry about these kind of things. There's other things going on in the world. And going back to just the original point, being abusive about it isn't suddenly going to make these people go, oh, well, since you're being a jerk to me, now I'm going to give you this information. And that's not even to go into all the legal ramifications. We talked about last week or 2 weeks ago about, just random things being revealed by actors and voice actors that just like, hey, you probably aren't supposed to be revealing those kind of things. They're randomly tweeting, hey, I'm at Warner Brothers lot today. Can you guess what I'm doing? Even though I'm the only known for one thing, wink, wink, really known for one major thing, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And you could get in trouble for stuff like that. So they're not going to give you the information, and you're penis is not going to incite them to be like, ooh, okay, well, now I'm going to do that. So no reason to do this. Absolutely none. And the fact that we're having 2 stories to cover this just shows you that people are just, you got to calm down. Just calm down.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, because of course it wasn't in this story, but to give some context, there was I guess 2 leakers, 2 people who've leaked a lot of things over the years or over the last few months in particular, said that basically June 30th was going to be a show to release the release date of God of War Ragnarok, and it didn't happen. And a number of things have been reported since then. I know Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg has said that he did know that an event was supposed to be planned for June 30th, but it got delayed for unknown reasons. Likely, many are pointing to the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court ruling, but it was delayed for some reason, but that doesn't mean the game is delayed. However, we've talked about this in past stories, and we talk about it again. Let game devs release the game when they want to, okay? When it's best for them. At the grand scheme of things, we don't deserve essentially what these game devs put out because of the fact of things like this. We should not be harassing people. I feel, of course, as we've grown up, of course, with the technology age, watching the transition essentially from when we were younger of no internet and stuff to the growth of social media. But a lot of people really feel like they can just say whatever or hide behind their Twitter profiles or their social media profiles and say anything to these devs, and it's okay. And some people, there are a lot of people who actually find it okay to do so, but it's not. It's not okay to harass these people. It's not okay to send them threats and things of that nature. And as the story points out, Alana Pierce, who has been a IGN writer, has been featured on a lot of podcasts. She is now a writer for Sony Santa Monica, got misogynistic and violent messages over the game delay from out of last year into this year. Like, these things are not okay, and I don't know why people think they are. Like, just, if you really enjoy these games, if you really want them, let them work. And I understand with anything, myself included, when a game that you're really excited for and you really, really want to play gets delayed or there's no news or things like that, it can be agitating, right? Or it can be, like, disheartening because you're like, I just really want to play this game. There should be this little, thing on your shoulder that goes, hey, they're humans and they are working as fast as they can. No one wants the game to come out in a better state and be received super well. No one more so than the developers at all. So it drives me nuts. And then I just want to go off of your point there. I think you brought it up recently. Maybe I read it online, but somebody said something too, is where game devs said, like, the best quality testing is day 1 release. And it's not to use that as, oh, we're supposed to do quality testing. But as you said, there is only X amount of quality testers on any given team, any given developer. But day 1, there is 10 times that who end up buying said game typically. And as you said, they're going to find things a lot faster and a lot quicker than any game dev will. So when some people say, oh, well, why don't the people release a finished game? Look at all of the game bugs and breaking things that people do for speed running on older games. It's because they can't send an update out of those things. There was bugs forever in video games. Let them do their job. Pete, is there anything you want else to say before we move on to basically the second part of this story?
I did have a thought and then I lost it, so no.
Okay.
I wish I could be more intelligent than that.
If it comes back, Well, you can bring it up even if it isn't the second one. But we're going to go to our next story, which is, of course, part of this first story. This is coming from The Verge, written by Jay Peters, and it is Ron Gilbert won't post about the new Monkey Island game anymore following online abuse. This week, we finally saw the first gameplay trailer of Return to Monkey Island, a follow-up to the first and second Monkey Island games that were headed up by Ron Gilbert. Much of the game's rollout has been delightful. An apparent April Fool's joke by Gilbert about a new Monkey Island game turned out to actually be a real announcement. But there's been some sour discourse following the new trailer and on his personal blog. Gilbert said he won't be posting about Return to Monkey Island anymore. Quote, "I'm shutting down comments," Gilbert said in a post featuring the new trailer. "People are just being mean and I'm having to delete personal attack comments. It's an amazing game and everyone on the team is very proud of it. Play it or don't play it, but don't ruin it for everyone else. I won't be posting any more about the game. The joy of sharing has been driven from me." From what has been seen, most of the negative comments have been focused on Return to Monkey Island's art direction, where the original game used pixel art. The new game opts for a more cartoony look. And in April interview with The Verge, Gilbert said that was an intentional decision. Quote, "So it isn't pixel art, and that was a discussion that Dave Grossman and I had early on about should it be a pixel art game? Should it not be a pixel art game? Ultimately, we thought that we just had a lot more freedom and flexibility to not make it a pixel art game. I think people are going to be very happy with the art once they see it and once they see it moving and the animations. We have an incredible group of animators on the project, and it's really neat when you actually start to see everything moving in the game." And I'll just finish up this article real quick. Gilbert tried to address the criticisms of the art style in a May post on his personal blog, saying, "It may not be the art style you wanted or expected, but it's the art style I wanted. Unfortunately, though, some people have continued to say vile stuff, and now it seems we won't be hearing about Gilbert or from Gilbert about what looks to be a terrific game." So, Pete, of course, there's some more things to this article, but I gotta ask you, just following it, I don't know if you saw the trailer at all, but what did you think of Monkey Island if you did see the trailer? But just in general, I guess continue your thoughts on this kind of attacking as well.
I watched the trailer and I went to the website. It was actually set up kind of cool, the way they had the kind of point and click thing, that you could select different responses and the characters on the screen interacting with you. Going back to this, it's more of the same. Just, we don't need this. We don't need you to be attacking. And this might be, I'm going to be grumpy old Pete. You know, I'm just grandpa over here, yelling at clouds and whatnot. You know, it's just how I do. That's just my vibe nowadays. I don't know. We don't, games aren't going to look like they did 30 years ago. It's just not going to happen. You don't want it to look like they did 30 years ago. I enjoy, as much as the next person, the games that look, you know, from the PlayStation 1 graphics, from the old PC graphics of the 90s, from the N64 graphics, of the games that came out from that era. If they did a Final Fantasy VII remake and they had that blocky ass art and animation and graphics, and the one that they released in 2020, everybody would deadpan say, "That looks like dog shit. What are y'all doing over there?" So it's not good. And I get it. The art style, you can do an updated pixel art style. I understand that. But when I watched it, I thought it was cool how they're doing the pixel, or not the pixel art, the cell shaded stuff, the cartoony look. I thought it worked really well. I thought it would work. I even though I haven't like played any of it, I would think it'd work really well with the vibe that the Monkey Island games tend to have. The point and click aspect, the comedic, you know, the swashbuckling aspect. I don't understand why you'd look at that and be like, "Oh, well, I'm just not going to buy this game, and this game looks like crap now. Oh, I can't believe you didn't keep the art style from before." Why is that big of a deal that you would try to disparage the artists and animators for this kind of stuff? It's totally, you can sit there and say that you don't like the art compared to what it used to be, what it was before the first couple of games. Why don't you wait until the game's out, though, to actually judge whether the art style and the animation style works with the game or not? Because the game, some of the game mechanics may not be the same as those games also. Like, you can change, even with the point and click aspect of Monkey Island you can change up how some of that stuff works And maybe there's some game aspects that they wanted to add that they couldn't add with the pixel art that they can't add now that they had this other art going on. Maybe it gives them a more 3D aspect where they can do some stuff like that they couldn't do if it was just all pixel art or something like that. And it adds a new dimension to the game that they couldn't add with that kind of stuff. So why don't you just wait? And you can have an opinion before the game comes out, be like, say, you know, I prefer your older art, but you don't have to judge and say like, well, this game is now officially crap because it doesn't look the way I remember it when I played the first one 25 years ago.
Yeah, and I know you gave the example, right? You can do modern pixel art, but at the end of the day, as you know, of course, Ron Gilbert put, that's not the art direction he wanted to go with. He wanted to go with this art direction, and I agree with you. Like, don't get me wrong, those type of games are not typically the games that I enjoy. But I looked at that trailer and I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it looked pretty well done. I loved the way that the characters moved. I honestly kind of envisioned it when I looked at it. Of course, it would be a little bit more or less cartoony in the way that Return to Monkey Island looked. But like, I thought instantly that would be a great art style direction for like a Parappa the Rapper remaster or remake of some sort. Like, it just, the way that the characters moved and looked. So like, I didn't see why this is a problem. And it goes back to, again, you can not like something, right? And you can voice that you don't like it, but you can also do it without having to be hateful, personal attacking, you know, aggressive, all those jazz. That is fine to voice your opinion and say something. Do you have to voice it? No. You could voice it personally to your friends and stuff. You don't have to go to a public platform, obviously like Ron Gilbert, the director, and say, hey, I hate the look of this. But to go to the personal attacks like he was saying that he had to go through, like, that's just terrible. And think about also all the people who are on that team that were very excited to reveal their game at the Nintendo Direct, to show it off, finally get people to see it. And that's what they get welcomed with, is that kind of stuff. I think you've talked about it in past episodes, but how would these people like it if we just showed up to their job one day and just started screaming at them about how terrible they are at things, or how terrible they tied their shoes that morning, and I can't believe that you can even put your shirt on, or something like that? Like, they wouldn't like that either. They wouldn't like those things. It's not hard to be good to people. It's not hard to be nice to people. It doesn't cost you anything to do those things. And so it sucks that we have to continue to bring stuff up like this on our podcast, because gamers continue to do it. And it's not, don't get me wrong, I definitely know it's not the majority of gamers, but it's always the vocal minority that cause the most problems in all aspects. And this is another one that's it's just terrible.
Yeah, and you brought up a very good point too. You don't have to, just because you dislike something doesn't mean you have to go to the creator and and say, hey, I dislike this thing that you or change that you made. You can just be like, hey, I don't like this change, and just kind of chill and wait to see how it plays. But I'm willing to see how it plays out. Or maybe you're not, and you'd rather just go do something else. That is 100% something you can do as well. But you don't need to be disrespectful about it. And I want to be clear, telling a dev that, hey, you don't like this change is not necessarily being disrespectful. But if you don't have any constructive criticism to follow up with that, there's no reason to. You're not adding anything to the conversation by just saying, I don't like this thing. Well, I don't like this thing either. Well, I don't like this thing either. Okay, well, what would you prefer? And I guess in this instance, the preference would be the old pixel art. But again, we're 25 plus years, 25 or so years removed from the original Monkey Island game. So it's not going to look like that now. It's not going to look like that ever again. Maybe the games wouldn't even look like that if they came out now. If Monkey Island 1 was originated today, maybe it wouldn't even use that pixel art. So comparing it to stuff to how it was back then, the art and animation style, it's going to get updated. So just, either ride out with it or don't, but you don't need to be disrespectful and just awful or abusive about your opinions and just, don't need to do it.
Yeah, as we've talked about before in past episodes, if you don't like something, there's plenty of other games to go play. Go pick a different game and move on with your life. Don't resort to harassment or abuse or things of that nature. It's just not. It's not okay. We're going to move on to our next article. Again, this is coming from The Verge. This is about Pokemon Go, and the developer Niantic has canceled 4 projects and lays off more than 80 people. This is written by Jay Peters, and it goes as follows. Niantic, which has been trying to replicate the massive success of Pokemon Go with other mobile AR games, is laying off 8% of its workforce and canceling 4 projects, which was reported by Bloomberg. Quote, "We recently decided to stop production on some projects and reduce our workforce, but about 8% to focus on our key priorities," Niantic VP of Communications Johnny Thaw said in a statement to The Verge. Quote, "We are grateful for the contributions of those leaving Niantic, and we are supporting them through this difficult transition. This means we can focus on our most important priorities, including Pokemon Go and a select set of new experiences, as well as the Lightship platform. This increased focus, as well as our strong core business, puts us in a position to weather the broader economic uncertainty many companies are facing and continue investing in the future of AR." Now, according to Bloomberg, the changes mean Niantic is canceling Transformers Heavy Metal, a game made in partnership with Sleep No More creator Punch Drunk, and 2 titles codenamed Blue Sky and Snowball, and about 85 to 90 people, are being let go. Pokemon Go has been proven to be an enduring hit, of course, over the time, but despite its nearly 6 years, being 6 years old, and other AR games haven't had quite as much success. Niantic has recently shut down AR games based on Catan and Harry Potter franchises, and Microsoft shut down Minecraft Earth last year. That said, Niantic still seems committed to making new games. Its adorable game Peridot is in a soft launch, and the company just announced an NBA title. So, Pete, what do you make of this? Do you think AR games are going to continue being utilized, or do you think that Pokemon Go just had the right, hook for people?
Well, my first thought was, kudos to a company that's worth over $1 billion. Once again, going out and just putting themselves first before the people that actually work for their company after having a $2 billion revenue year and then almost $1 billion follow it up. Kudos to them. They didn't make $2 billion, so I guess they didn't have enough money to pay for everybody, I guess. I don't know. But my first thought is, or my thought for AR games specifically, I think you need an actual something that's based on that, like augmented reality for like something like Pokemon itself. The idea works really well with augmented reality games. That's what the AR stands for people that were unaware. Because Pokemon is a game, theoretically, the world itself is you go out, walk around, and you come upon a Pokemon, and you're going to go and capture it. And that works really well when you have, that works really well in the real world when you have the augmented reality, because you walk around with your smartphone everywhere. Everybody does. And you're allowed, and you're able to just walk around and find things like that. I don't know if every single format that is like this, I don't know how a augmented reality Harry Potter franchise or Catan, the card game franchise, would work. I don't know how that would. I'm not 100% positive how it actually work involved into their actual games. The couple games that I looked at that they announced that they're still working on, the Peridot game and the NBA game, are interesting. The NBA game might be okay. Playing like 3-on-3 with someone with a group of people that you come up on, instead of kind of similar to how you just have a pickup game at the park or something like that. That sounds like that could be a thing that would work with an augmented reality format. I'm not 100% sure why you wouldn't just play the pickup game in the first place, but that allows you to connect with people that the augmented reality aspect allows you to connect with people that you wouldn't normally be able to just going to the park. And as someone who's going to the park and shoot hoops, it's a little awkward just randomly like, hey, you want to play one-on-one to just some random person, stranger that walks up, which maybe over the phone it wouldn't be. The Peridot game seemed kind of Pokemon adjacent. the art design and stuff like that. I didn't really actually do a whole lot of research in terms of like figuring out what kind of game it was supposed to be, but that looks like something where you get kind of a pet or some kind of creature to follow you around, almost like a shoot, what were those? Got the little
Tamagotchis.
The little, like Tamagotchis. Thank you. The Tamagotchi type games. Maybe it's something like that. And I could see that working out in augmented reality, because then you can go with like people and like walk your dog or walk your animal if that's the route that they take. So I think you need a specific idea that works with augmented reality. You can't just like, hey, we have an augmented reality Harry Potter game. Hey, we have an augmented reality Star Wars game. I don't know if those just are good enough to sell on their own or interesting enough to sell on their own after a little bit of time, especially since a lot of these are free to play. And the idea is you want these people to keep playing. And Pokemon Go specifically, you got to catch them all. That was the original catchphrase of Pokemon, right? You can just ride that whole thing. Whereas Harry Potter and stuff like that, I mean, I guess Harry Potter, you could theoretically learn spells on the augmented reality, but that doesn't feel the same as just playing a video game that is based in the Harry Potter universe to begin with.
Yeah, I definitely remember when the Harry Potter game got announced and my wife being excited for it because she's a Harry Potter fan. And I looked at it and I thought it was cool, but like we just both never ended up actually doing anything with it. And I remember those that did just weren't really feeling it. And I agree with you. I think like Pokemon really worked because of the nature of Pokemon. And also it was just kind of the perfect storm because it was the first AR game with Pokemon that like, or with a beloved franchise, I guess I should say. So like it just took off in the way that everyone gets into it. And of course, right, kids and parents and all that jazz love Pokemon. Like, right, how many parents do you know that get into Pokemon because their kids into Pokemon and they hear it all the time, they see it and they're like, oh, these characters look cute or whatever, I'm gonna, you know, get into it. And Pokemon Go is an easy one to get into. I agree with you, the other ones don't really make sense, but I was thinking while you were talking, what would be like an AR game that I think would work out really well? And I want to say it was Digimon, but I could be wrong, so I'm gonna ask you, my fellow 90s child. So, do you remember the thing or the game, I guess I should call it a game, where like you could go out into stores and like scan barcodes and like you would be able to get a creature or something that you could take back to your house to put into a game or to your toy or whatever it was. And I don't remember too much more about that, but I just remember it being, I swear it was like Digimon. And it was like
that sounds like something that would be Digimon, but off the top of my head, I cannot for the life of me think. But that it would have to be something similar to that, and I don't ever recall Pokemon doing anything like that. And that sounds like something Digimon might have done. Digimon's actually a good one that you pointed out.
Yeah,
that one might actually work really well with an augmented reality style.
And that's what I was getting at is like I wish, because like I'll have to look it up after the show, but there was definitely this, it was either a 90s toy or something like that, but like you could go out and you could scan things with this toy and it would like capture things to bring back to your game at the house. And I remember having it for a little bit. I don't know if I borrowed it like from a friend or something or how I came about it, but I just remember that. And like, I feel like that would be the next AR thing to hit, because using Digimon, for instance, Digimon of course is not as popular as Pokemon, but it is still a fairly popular franchise and it would really work in the AR environment. The other one, of course, that would work, but it's kind of been a bygone era now, even though it just had a remaster not too long ago, is Monster Rancher, where Monster Rancher kind of allowed you to do something similar in the remaster games that just came out for Switch. But back in the old days with it, you could like with the game put in like a disc, like a CDs that you own, and the CD might actually be connected to a monster in Monster Rancher, and then you had it inside your game. Something like that would also work. But going back to your first statement, I do totally agree. I did have it in here as you talked about, but like, you know, last year they surpassed $904 million in revenue. I get you have to cancel projects, and sometimes canceling projects means laying off staff, but I really feel you could have found another way to repurpose those people versus just laying them off when your revenue is, 900 million plus in a year. But
it's okay because they are grateful for the contributions they made, and they're trying to support them through this difficult time.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah. So it's fine then.
It's a good pat on the back. You did a good job. The way to support them is to keep them employed. But
yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to move on to our next article. And this one is kind of, I guess, two sides of the coin, so to speak, depending on how you look at it. We're going to the Video Game Chronicles for this, and it is written by Tom Ivan. The title is Blizzard Acquires Spellbreak Studio Proletariat to work on World of Warcraft. Now, I'm going to go to their original story, essentially, from the past week. And it is earlier this week. Proletariat wrote out that the future of Spellbreak, they are actually shutting the Battle Royale down, the spell and magic combining Battle Royale that launched back in 2018, or I should say in early access in 2018, is going to shut down in early 2023. And they put in here, quote, "Our vision was to create a fresh multiplayer action spellcasting game with exceptional movement and class customization that would give players the chance to unleash their inner battle mage. We are grateful to everyone in the game's community for exploring the magical worlds and experiences we created together. Spellbreak was an ambitious project that saw our team push new boundaries in design and development, and we are excited to continue to innovate as we create new titles in the future." Well, now going back to the original article, or the article about Blizzard acquiring them, well, according to VentureBeat, the Boston-based studio has been purchased to bolster the World of Warcraft development team. The studio has reportedly been working with Blizzard since May and will contribute to upcoming World of Warcraft expansion, Dragonflight. We're going to skip down a little bit towards the bottom. Now, Dragonflight expansion is supposed to launch this year, and the Wrath of the Lich King Classic, a re-release of the World of Warcraft 2008 expansion, will also be released later this year. Again, that is for World of Warcraft Classic. So, Pete, I got to ask you, first off, I have a couple of questions, I guess. First off, did you ever play Spellbreak? Secondly, if you did, give me your thoughts about an indie studio being able to accomplish Spellbreak. And then thirdly, outside of the closure, how do you feel about Blizzard acquiring this studio and essentially turning them into a support team?
I never played Spellbreak. I think I maybe tried the demo once or twice. It is I believe it was a MOBA type game, PvP
Battle Royale.
At least. The Battle Royale, yeah.
So like Fortnite, but battle mages.
Yeah. Okay, now it's really coming back now.
Yeah,
I did play the demo. It was fine. Not really my cup of tea. Accomplishing something like Spellbreak, becoming a decently popular, finding and doing something different and finding a niche in something that is dominated by PUBG and Fortnite. Like, usually when you have something that enters a realm that's so dominated like that, you have to be a big time developer. For instance, where they're going now, they're going to WoW, and the MMOs were mostly dominated by WoW for a long time, and the only one that was really able to start fighting them, we covered it last week, was Final Fantasy XIV, which is developed by Square Enix and has a lot of money and leeway to actually combat what Blizzard is trying to do. Maybe not as much, but I mean, they have the gaming wherewithal, the ability to do that. They have the knowledge and stuff, and even they bombed first. They had to remake it from the ground up and scratch in like 18 months, as we talked about. So, I mean, usually when you're trying to find a niche, the biggest one is the biggest battle royale to come out is what, Apex Legends, and that was made free to play by basically EA Games, I think, right? Who is that? Who the developer?
Yeah, Respawn is the actual developer, but of course they're an EA studio. Yeah. So I mean, the only one to come up through the battle royale and do much of anything is between Fortnite and PUBG was Apex Legends, and I mean, not as popular as any of those, but Spellbreak was pretty much there. So them being able to accomplish something like that as an indie studio in a genre that's dominated by two super popular games, and Fortnite is really the big one. PUBG is
Kind of the more, if you're doing a MOBA comparison, it'd be like League of Legends would be Fortnite, and I think PUBG would be closer to Dota. Would probably be the closer comparisons, even though Dota has a lot more money in the bank when they have their world championships, I believe, than League of Legends does. But still, those are like the two, that'd be the comp for that. So it's good. Kudos to Spellbreak. It is kind of disappointing that they're just going to be it. First off, congratulations to this studio for getting an opportunity and running with it. So I don't want to downplay the fact that Blizzard's like, hey, you're doing a great job, we want to hire you. It does suck that they're going to seems like just be a support team for a while, but hopefully they get more pull, more tug when they're a part of Blizzard, which is going to be a part of Microsoft. So maybe theoretically they make a name for themselves in-house, and then they're able to start doing their own thing again. Well, you would think that for like a PvP thing, you'd want them to do something. I know WoW does have something of a PvP scene, but you would think they'd want them to do something like the MOBA that Blizzard had for a while. I know they shut that down, but you want them to work on something like that. So hopefully they can build themselves back up. But kudos to Spellbreak for the Spellbreak developers for Proletariat. God damn, sorry, Proletariat, terrible. Kudos to Proletariat for being able to build themselves up into a company that would want to be acquired by a big studio like Blizzard and pretty soon Microsoft, theoretically. So, but it is kind of disappointing. I would rather them working on something bigger than just being a support team.
Yeah, so I actually really enjoyed Spellbreak when it came out. I was in the beta tests ahead of time, and I enjoyed it, and I played it quite a bit at first, and then, of course, I fell off of it, as I do with most BR games, just because I have a lot of single-player games or things, of course, for press start that I need to get through that I just didn't end up getting back into Spellbreak. But I was still happy for them. Again, they were an indie studio, and I know I want to give I guess my quick little thoughts there, because you talked, of course, like Fortnite, PUBG, Apex Legends. One that you did forget about that, of course, is really, really big and essentially is going to be a sister company, and so to speak, with this is Warzone. The Call of Duty Battle Royale is also, of course, Activision Blizzard. That's a big one. And, of course, I thought your comparison for Dota 2 and League of Legends was actually fairly on point, because, of course, PUBG was the originator. Now, Dota 2, of course, is not the originator, so to speak, but Dota 2 was that, that first big one, and then League of Legends kind of took from it and made, what ended up being, of course, the big dog, and that's kind of what Fortnite ended up doing from PUBG. But happy for Spellbreak of what it accomplished. Sucks that it's getting closed. Also sucks that they are essentially turning into just a support studio at the moment. I do agree or hope that what you said, when this does essentially mean that they are going to be, of course, acquired by Microsoft later on, that Microsoft ends up looking at them to possibly create something, because the characters and the lore that they kind of were trying to build with Spellbreak, similarly to games like Overwatch, where they have like a lore outside of their Battle Royale, I thought was fairly cool, and I loved the characters. I loved the action of Spellbreak. So turning it into, it doesn't necessarily have to be a battle royale, so to speak, but turning that into a story that players can play through would be a ton of fun, I think, for a future game. And again, the combat in the way that they made that would be, I think, lend itself really well to something like that. So hopefully in the future that comes out of it. But again, congratulations to them for being big enough for acquiring and wanting to essentially be acquired. And then, of course, though, on the other side of it, it does, it's sad for us gamers, because, of course, games like Spellbreak or a future game they may have been trying to potentially work on will, at this moment, no longer see the light of day. So two big things there. Then let's go to our last article real quick before we get to our upcoming game releases. And this is EA makes fun of single-player games, and basically the internet does not react kindly to it. This is coming from IGN, written by Ryan Dinsdale, and it goes as follows. A joke made by EA's official Twitter account making fun of single-player games did not go well for the company. The internet's reaction forced the company to address its mistake. Now, I will tell you real quick, there's been, for those that don't know, there's been the popular meme that's going on, especially around Twitter, that says they're a 10, but, and then fill in the blank, and there's been a lot of fill-ins there. So EA tried to jump on the popular meme and said, quote, they're a 10, but they only like playing single-player games. Then the tweet itself was a little odd, given that EA itself publishes plenty of single-player games, including Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and The Sims 4, and is about to publish Jedi Fallen Survivor, I think it is. But what started as perhaps just a poorly chosen joke escalated once the post gained traction. Twitter users, including the head of EA Respawn's Entertainment, Vince Impella, YouTuber Jack Septic Dice, and the Game Awards host Jeff Keighley, all shared in disparaging in the replies, while plenty of other people made fun of the criticized EA in retaliation. They then, of course, retweeted out later on, roast well deserved, we'll take the L because playing single player games actually makes them an 11, which more people did roast for them for as well. So Pete, what did you think of this grade A tweet coming from Electronic Arts?
Where the fuck did this meme start? Where does it come from? I don't understand. It just suddenly popped up on my Twitter feed like a week and a half ago, just all over, and I'm just like, I don't get it. I'm confused. Where did this come from?
I don't know where it started either. No, I don't know where it started either.
I didn't know if it was from like a Netflix show or something. There was a comment made on there, and I'm lost. I'm old. I don't watch things. I can't keep up with the times, man. It's just throwing me for a loop. Anyway, I know we spent the first two articles discussing the abusive relationship that gamers can tend to sometimes have with developers. This is more playful, I guess I would say. A little odd that you would make that comment, like you in the article stated, because you also make single-player games and are really well known for it. But they got rightfully slapped down by people, kind of joking back at them with it. The one tweet I will bring up, because you have it as part of the show notes, they canceled the Star Wars single player project and shut down Visceral Games in 2017. Zach Mumbach tweeted them, talking about how he said, this is the company that shut down my studio and laid off about 100 great developers because we were making a single player game, and a bunch of laughing and crying emojis. So it's funny because it's sad and true. And then also replied to his own tweet. Also, if you break game rating scores down to a 10-point scale, most EA games are a solid 6 or 7, not because the developers are bad, but because the corporation forces them to rush games out. EA corporate leadership wouldn't know what a 10 looks like in terms of video games. So kind of a double whammy on that one.
Yeah.
So that was a little darker turn for that. But this seemed more playful at the end of the day than anything, even though, corporations are evil.
Yeah, I obviously reacted to that. I think I retweeted the original tweet and stuff because I was like, wow, all right. And I did, while you were talking, quickly look this up. It originally started on TikTok, which is like weird because I actually didn't find it when I was on TikTok, but apparently a May 31st TikTok from Leah Woods appears to be the origin, though she and her friends were rating theoretical men, and it just spawned from there and carried over towards, of course, other social media.
I'm not on TikTok, so that's probably why.
Well, you are on TikTok. You just never use it because I send you my videos and you never like my videos on there, which everyone else should by following at Darce28. Anyway, I thought this was like a terrible, I get the joke, of course, like you said, it's definitely was supposed to be playful, right? But it was terribly timed for Electronic Arts. I don't know if that's the route they should have went for. It should have been something more like they're a 10, but they don't play video games or something like that, because they play everything. But Yeah, not a good look, especially again with what was in the show notes, but it's when you have a recent studio closure that you close them down because they only made single player games. Like that's not a good look. So, but just as a reminder, another single player game that EA is about to make, the Dead Space remake is supposed to come out later this year, which was originally made by Visceral Games. So, there's another example.
And they just had the Star Wars Fallen Order, and they're doing a sequel of that, and that was also single player.
Yeah. So,
Jeremy, I got a question for you.
Okay, I got a possible answer.
Do we know when Star Wars Fallen Order sequel's coming out?
No, sometime next year. But what I do know is games that are coming out here in the next week, and I'm going to tell you all about them, which starts with today, Friday, July 1st. We have F122 for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Game Deck for Switch. Almost My Floor for Xbox Series, Xbox One, and Switch. Numina for PC. On Tuesday, July 5th, we have Eurokill, the Calumniation games, PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC. Wednesday, July 6th, we have Cursed Island for Xbox One, Rush Rally Origins for Xbox One, Let's Play Oink games for PC. Thursday, July 7th, we have Matchpoint Tennis Championships for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Overrogue for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And then Friday, July 8th, we have Arcadegadon for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Kelowna Fantasy Reverie Series for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And Madison for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Switch, and PC. Pete, any of these catching your attention?
We talked about Game Deck last week, so I don't want to cover that. I don't remember if this was on there last week or not. Numina looks like a real hell of a throwback to my time as a JRPG fan back in the olden days of the 90s when I didn't yell at clouds and I had such a positive and hopeful outlook on life. And that game looked kind of interesting. Also, supposedly, like, it breaks the fourth wall with you. Like, it'll ask you to do stuff, which is kind of weird, but the art style and all that look cool. Also, Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series. I've never really played the Klonoa games, but it's looked like a cool, like, N64 style of a platformer. Good sweet lord, I don't know why I couldn't think of the term. But platformer, so I was interested in that, and I really wanted to put shout out to Eurokill, the calumniation, just randomly coming up with words that don't make sense to put in their title. Just, you know, I just love when they already take a fucked up language like the English language and then try to make it worse.
Well, I did actually look this up, which is why I had the pronunciation. It is an actual word. It's not made up. And it is it's transitive verb to mean to utter maliciously false statements, charges, or imputations about. So,
yeah.
It obviously
some people
is
say that about that's what I would say about the English language is a calumniation.
There you go. But of course, that alludes to what goes on in the game. I do have a preview article about that game up on pressstartnews.net that you should go check out because I enjoyed it. And there's a demo out currently for PlayStation, Switch, and PC that you should go check out. Or I think just PlayStation and Switch, now that I think about it. I don't think the demo is out for PC. I could be wrong.
PC had one. I'll check it really quick. Give me a sec.
Okay, yeah, you'll check it. That's the big one for me that I really want to get. I will say, even though Kemco games typically don't get reviewed very well, Overrogue looked pretty cool to me, so I thought that one looked nice. Really weird that there wasn't a Switch version because Kemco traditionally releases it for everything, so I was caught off guard that there was not listed as a Switch version. Maybe that's coming later down the line. But I am going to be playing Arcadegadon. That is a PS Plus title for the month of July, and you get that actually on Tuesday, July 5th, a couple of days before it comes out officially, because it is currently in early access on PC and PlayStation. But that's one I thought looks really cool. I'm excited to kind of dive into that and play it. I thought when it was released at a State of Play or shown off at a State of Play last year, it looked really cool. So now that I get to finally have it, I'm down for it. Did you find out anything?
There is a demo on Steam for Eurokill, the Calumniation games.
There you go. So go play that.
Also, I want to say when I watched that I'm sorry to cut you off. When I watched the trailer, there were a few voice actors and actresses that I recognized So that was kind of that was pretty cool when I was watching it the first time. So
there you go. So yeah, so go play that demo because it's a lot of fun, and possibly pick that game up on July 5th. But that is all that we have here for this episode. Pete, is there anything you want to leave our listeners off with before we send them into the weekend?
I'm asking you once again to not send unsolicited pictures of your genitalia to strangers. That's my goal, mission for all of y'all for the next week. Just start out with 1 week, see how you get. You get the urge, go do literally anything else. Okay, maybe not literally anything else, but go do something else that doesn't involve crime or murder.
You have a nearly infinite amount of other things that, as you said, are not law breaking that you can go do. Like drink some water. Yes. If you're that thirsty, go drink some water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically all that I got too. So anyways, everybody, that's the show. I've been one of your co-hosts, Jeremy Culver, aka Darce. This is the California Thirst Quencher, Pete Leisure, and we really enjoy bringing this to you. As always, everybody, stay hydrated, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep on gaming. We'll see you guys on the next